Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chloe with Love and Relationships. This is a dating and relationships meetup. It's not a meetup to necessarily find someone to date in the meetup, but to help you with your relationships and with your dating with skills and tools that you can take out into the world. Um, My name is Chloe Ballatori. I'm a relationship and communication expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's Want Institute. I've been doing this work for over a decade, and this meetup is about 2 years old on this platform. So, welcome if this is your first time. I'm going to give an introduction of this work, the psychological and scientific principles that it's grounded in. These principles are not my work. This is established scholarship that I'm going to run through pretty quickly for the purposes of this group. And then I'm going to introduce some of the tools, mostly in the context of your questions. So most of this meetup will be your questions. And when we start with the questions, you can raise your hand or you can put your question into the chat window. I don't know if everybody can see it. I'm going to put my credentials into the chat again. Um, so you guys know how to reach out to me. You can reach out to me through my website. I work with men, I work with women, I work with couples, I work with teenagers. You can also check out my books. My first book, How to Live, Find Love, and Keep It, is they're all on Amazon. That one's the kind of the guidebook. My most recent book is Daddy Issues, and there's a lot in that book as well. So I encourage you to look at all my books. Um, and I also put original content up on Instagram and TikTok every day. If you like this group and you want to work in a more focused, private way, semi-private way, you can also sign up for one of the module packages. I teach this work several times a year when I get enough signups. So that's how that works. Okay, so not only have I been doing this work for over a decade, but this work saved my marriage and changed my life. So I've been now 20 years married, over 20 years married, actually, almost 22 years married. Um, and so everything I'm going to talk about tonight, everything I'm going to teach you guys is stuff that I've seen in action in other people's lives, when beginning with when I started my own work with Dr. Pat Allen, who mentored me, um, and that I've seen in clients, probably thousands of clients over the last decade. Okay, so what is this work? What are we talking about? What does this have to do with relationships? When we're talking about relationships, specifically when we talk about successful relationships, we're talking about balance of complementary energies. That's complementary with an E. Okay. And the most successful relationships, including the relationship that you have with yourself, are ones that are balanced between yin or feminine energy and yang or masculine energy. All of us have both. Okay. And it's a specific balance that is unique to each one of us. There will be a balance within your relationships and also within yourself. And as the yin yang symbol connotes, there's that swoosh, right? As that swoosh connotes, this is not a fixed point. This is a balance that's fluid and flexible as you grow and change over your lifetime. So, for example, just because of hormone drop offs, we often have we often find that women become more masculine after menopause and men become more feminine after andropause. Okay. This is just things that happen due to hormonal changes. Um, and this, your balance can be affected by myriad things. Most of us have had some kind of childhood trauma, and that throws our balance off. And by trauma, I mean with a big T or a small t. In this context, we're not going to really differentiate too much. Um, but trauma is anything that separates you from your innocence. And when we're children, we're very dependent on the people who run the refrigerator. And so we often have to sacrifice our authenticity in favor of attaching to those people. And those strategies become in our own minds existential truths. But we have trouble when we carry those strategies forward into our adult lives. And that's when we see patterns repeating that don't serve us. And oftentimes these patterns are unconscious or subconscious. Um, One of the things that I do is help people understand these patterns so that they can change them. And a lot of this stuff is very deep rooted because anything that happens between the critical window of 0 to 12 has a greater impact on us than anything that happens later, simply because of the developmental windows that we're going through. Okay. Now, sometimes it feels like nothing's ever going to change. That's just a feeling. These tools will work. It does take persistence. Sometimes it feels like it's longer than you want it to be, but I'm here to say that you can be free of your childhood scripts. Freud was wrong about that. You can change the brain. The brain is elastic. And that process is beautifully illustrated in the book The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Deutsch. So if you guys want to check that out, I recommend that if you're interested in stuff about brains. Um, Now, The Brain Rewires Itself on Pain, that's the title of my second book, New Ways of Being the Pain of Change. So this process is inherently painful. Pain is a signal that either change is taking place or change needs to take place. And so this is really important because this is something that I work with people a lot on, is whether or not that pain is the pain of change or the pain that change needs to take place. A lot of people start making changes, even changes for the better, and they find that after a while it's really painful, and so then they want to stop. And there's not a lot of understanding that that process is a different kind of pain and it needs to be worked through. Every feeling you've suppressed needs to come out or it will manifest as disease. We need to suppress and repress our feelings as children, again, to attach, to survive. But the beauty of being an adult is that then you can pick authenticity over attachment. You no longer have to sacrifice who you are in order to attach to somebody, right? You can take care of yourself if one attachment or another doesn't work. Okay. So I'm going to give a brief definition of masculine and feminine energies. Again, yin and yang. All of us are both. And if you're an alpha, you have a very strong yin side and a very strong yang side. Mm, That's why this work really appeals to alphas, because it gives you a rubric to make decisions. If you have a strong yin side and a strong yang side, you're often arguing between your heart and your head. So I have found this rubric incredibly helpful, especially in awkward situations and conflict resolution. Um, and these tools have worked in a way that I have actually never seen anything else work. When you go to traditional therapy, you say how you're feeling, you say what you're thinking, and mostly that's just reflected back, but you don't necessarily get tools to change your life. And so that's why I love this work, is because um, you really have an opportunity to change if that's what you're looking for. Okay, so feminine. All of us have a right brain that is feminine, that is yin energy, that is passive, patient, vulnerable, that is receiving, that is the world of feelings, of magic, creativity, sensuality, sexuality. Feminine energy is in the world to make it fun, but it's not of the world. And a good metaphor for feminine energy are flowers, because just by existing, they're beautiful. Okay? Feminine energy needs to feel good to do good. And then all of us also have a left side of the brain. This is the masculine side. This is the yang side. This is competitive, conquering, controlling. It's doing, achieving, taking care of. It's single minded, right? This is why we love men. Oftentimes they're very single minded. Um, So these are the two sides that we have. A good metaphor for yang energy are bricks, right? Because they're building blocks. And yang energy needs to do good to feel good. As I said, all of us are both, but it's helpful to know in your personal relationships which energy is more important to you. Do you want your feelings cherished, which is the feminine modality? Or do you want your thoughts respected, which is the masculine modality? Everybody wants both. But we don't come at our partners with both at one time because that's an act of narcissism. If we come at our partners with our thoughts and feelings, they have nowhere to go. Okay? That's in a conflict or an awkward situation. Again, nobody does this stuff perfectly, but it is extremely helpful to understand these dynamics, and it will definitely give you an edge really with whatever you're doing, but specifically with dating and with relationships. This work really changes your energy. And so you see a lot of that manifesting and radiating throughout your whole life. A lot of people start this work and they'll have a dramatic weight loss or they'll make a ton of money. And even though they've started for relationships, these dynamics can unlock a lot of other opportunities. Okay, so that's my spiel. Now I'm going to take your guys' questions, and I also love to get your updates. So this group is an ongoing group. So it's really helpful for me, for you, for everyone to hear how things are going as you're using these tools and where you're slipping up or where you're having an issue. One of the great things about doing the modules is we really marry the theory with your life and your actions, and how can we help you be the most successful to get what you want. It's really all about helping you guys get what you want. It's not a I try to refrain from making any moral judgments, and I suggest that you do too. Okay, so who has a question or an update? You can raise your hand or you can put something in the chat. Speak now because next week I'm not going to be here. Just remembered that. I'm not going to be here next week. I have a prior engagement. I will be here the week following though. Okay. Hello. Hi, Eddie. Ah, Christian. Hi, Christian.
Hi. Hi.
Welcome. How can I help you?
Uh, this is kind of nerve-wracking. Okay, so I'm the past 3 years I've been going through a divorce. It hasn't been she was abusive and we're basically forced to be, you know, apart. And I understand the relationship wasn't good. I stayed in it because of my children, but I'm having a hard time dating again. I'm having a
Yeah.
hard time finding myself where I don't want to be that person for my daughters where I'm bringing constant person and after person in and doing so. But then again, I'm not getting my I don't have the I'm not finding
What?
the pleasure to date, I guess.
Okay, so you're wanting to date, but you're nervous about bringing people around your daughters? Is that what you're saying?
That not really because their mothers already brought a couple of partners, but that's her business. But
Right.
I don't know how to get over this fact of yeah, it's scary. And I understand that, but it's something that we're all have to do.
Right.
But it's a giant risk now that I mean, I'm thinking about my children always.
How old are your kids?
They're five
Okay.
twins.
So they're young.
Yeah,
And was the relationship physically abusive or
all
emotionally
three,
abusive or both? Okay,
all three.
everything. Okay. Okay. And hurt to you or hurt to you and your
Yeah,
daughter?
no, from
Hurt
her to
only
me.
hurt to you. Okay.
Yeah,
So do you have the full custody?
I'm supposed to, but state of California doesn't like single fathers, and it doesn't.
Right.
It
I know
didn't.
it's stacked against the dad. So are you guys in a joint custody?
Yes.
Okay. Um, is she violent towards the kids?
None that I know of, but there's been incidences where I don't get answers for.
Okay. So as the dad, you're gonna need to keep an eye on that.
I try
And
to,
there
but
and there might be, record if there have been incidents, keep a record of them. And, if it adds up, go to your lawyer and see if you can adjust the custody arrangement, you know. But at a certain point, they'll be able to decide, but that's still pretty far off. It's like 7 more years.
yeah.
Um, so I love that you're thinking about your children. And I agree with you. I don't think it's a great idea to bring multiple partners around. Don't bring anyone around until you're pretty sure she's a keeper. Okay.
But that's my other issue. Where for the this happened about 4 years ago, and I started dating maybe like a year ago.
Okay.
I have been meeting nothing but just bad people, just people who ghost, or people who just want one thing, or like just want money, or just want to like hook up, and that's it, and that's not who I am. And it's just like
Where are you hunting?
I'm not I'm not really hunting per
Well,
se,
where are
but
you
like
meeting these people?
I mean
Online?
either randomly online or like or in person. It just I'm just meeting people who are just out for one thing, and it's like why am I attracting all these people? Like
Okay. Okay. Well, it's not about really who you're attracting because you're probably attracting any number of people. It does have to do who you're selecting. Do you think you understand? Okay, here, let me ask you this. Which do you want? Do you want your feelings cherished first or your thoughts respected?
my feelings first.
Okay, so you're in like the 25% of men who wants feelings cherished. Okay. So then
It's
you're going to be looking for someone who is more in the yang or masculine energy. So that means somebody who maybe makes more money than you, somebody
mm,
that you can respect, somebody that you can look up to, somebody who is probably pretty brainy, someone whose thoughts that you want to hear. Um, does that sound right?
the thoughts, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't mean that you can never express your thoughts, but it's important to understand for yourself which is more important to you so that you can select the right kind of person. You're going to want somebody who cherishes your feelings. Okay. Um, so I'm going to give you, we've talked a lot in this group. Is this your first time?
Yes.
Okay. So we've talked a lot in this group about dating apps. I think dating apps can be useful in a limited way, but I
Hmm.
don't want you to stick with dating apps exclusively because that becomes
Yeah.
a very alienating experience. And if it's not going well on the apps, because it doesn't go well for a lot of people on the apps, they're
Yeah.
just some nerd's algorithm, right? Then get off the apps for a while. I'm going to teach you how to flirt in person. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what you're going to do is you're going to be flirting 5 days a week. 4 of those days are going to be just in the course of your day. So, if you're walking your dog, you take your kids to the park, you're at the grocery store, whatever it is, if you see somebody you're interested in, you're going to give them 5 seconds of eye contact and a smile. Okay. That's
Okay.
their signal that they can approach you, that you're open to being approached. And I'm saying you're going to wait because that's part of showing that you want your feelings cherished. The masculine energy approaches, the masculine energy takes control. Okay. So
Hmm.
that's your signal to that the other person can approach. The exception to that is if you were to ask somebody for help or advice. Okay. So it would be okay to approach for, if, hey, I noticed you bought that cheese. Is that the best kind of cheddar cheese, do you think? Like that would be an example of a way in which to respect a woman's thoughts. Okay?
Hmm.
Just like very simply.
Got
One
it.
day a week, you're going to go somewhere and plant yourself. It could be a bar, it could be a Starbucks, it could be a museum, but it's somewhere where you can sit, go alone, and you can observe people. Obviously go somewhere where you think you're going to like the women who go in there. For you, you're looking for, a high-powered woman. It might be downtown, it might be outside the stock exchange. I don't know where you live, but it
Yeah,
might be a
downtown.
hotel
Yeah,
bar,
I got
wherever.
you.
You
Yeah.
probably have some idea of where you sometimes, see women you're attracted to. So, you're going to pick that place and you can play around with it a little bit, but it's nice to have the same place because then people get to know you, you know?
Hmm.
And then you plant yourself there and then you do the same thing. You do the 5 seconds of eye contact and smile, but you're planted for 45 minutes to an hour. So you really have a better opportunity if someone wants to join you to start up a conversation. You have a nice chance to do that. I guarantee you will meet people. Now, you've been hurt before, you've been abused, you've been taken advantage of. So there's a couple things that I want you to look out for, especially since you want to get your feelings cherished. So you're going to be looking as to whether or not people are cherishing your feelings, these potential dates, you know. And it can be as simple as like you're at their house, you say you're cold. Do they respond? Do they close the door? Do they offer you a blanket? You know? Um, so you're going to be looking to as to how they react when you express your feelings. Okay. We mostly don't go into relationships trying to change the other person. There can be
Yeah.
some tweaking, but let's try to find someone who's already knows how to cherish your feelings. Okay. That everybody's a fixer to some degree, but let's try to find someone who does care about your feelings. Okay. So you're
Yeah, I
going to be
understand that.
looking at that when you express your feelings. And the other thing I really want you to look at is integrity. Do their words and deeds line up? Okay. Even on small things, if they say they're going to call you at 5, do they call at 5? Right
Yeah.
now, that might sound like a really small thing, but these are little clues. We can't take away all the vulnerability of relationships. But what these tools really help you do is mitigate the vulnerability so that you can see a red flag really soon,
Okay.
so that you don't waste a lot of time and money. Everybody out here has the potential to be a jerk or the potential to be a nice person, right? Except psychopaths. They don't really have that. But so you gotta see, you gotta open yourself up, you gotta give yourself a chance to get to know somebody, even though you've been hurt. You still have to do that. But using these guideposts will really give you an edge. And I've said this before in this group. Sometimes people ask me, what's like, are you a witch? Because I know these tools really well. I can see how certain things will play out. I'm not a witch, but sometimes it looks like I can predict the future because I know how people act. People are patterns. And so
Hmm.
certain things, if I see them, I'll know it's not going to work out, or that's a good sign it will work out. So
Hmm.
try doing these flirts, come back and let us know how it's going. And we'll start vetting some of these women so that you don't go too far down the line investing in them, right?
Yeah,
Till we know that they can show up.
got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. Yes, Raul.
Oh, you always talk about going certain places to find, a person to meet and all that, but you never mentioned like at work, right? So at work, you shouldn't find people at work because that can lead to other problems.
No, I
That,
mean,
that
I
can,
think meeting at work is a great thing because you get to know each other in an environment over time and you get to see how you react to different situations without the pressure of going on dates. You know,
oh, okay.
I actually
Because
think work can be like an amazing place to meet somebody. But of course, like you're saying, there's a downside because if it doesn't work out, one of you guys might have to leave the job. So it's just something that you have to balance out. Is it worth it? Do you care about this job more? Or do you care about meeting this person and connecting with this person? Or how much do you, it's just look, everything we do has a prize and a price tag. Every single thing has an upside and a downside. And that's part of the duality of this earth. Every shadow has a light, every catastrophe a silver lining, every success a downside. And so, it's just one of those things where there's a lot of pluses to it. Um, Obviously there can be legal ramifications if it's between like a boss and an inferior or a direct report, that can have ramifications. And sometimes that is, those are dynamics you have to be aware of. Sometimes somebody's more attractive because they're your boss or because they're your subordinate. And then that turns out not to really be a sustaining or lasting quality, especially if the job ends, right? So,
Right.
there can be some complexities to meeting at work. I actually met my husband at work, so I'm obviously a fan of it. And for the first 6 months, we just ate lunch together, or sometimes in a group, sometimes just the two of us. Nothing happened, you know? I didn't think anything was going to happen at first. I remember telling a friend, I started this new job, there's no cute guys. So, obviously changed my tune. But, you just have to be aware that there are legal ramifications. People can take advantage of their power. Sometimes people can take advantage of their lack of power. And, ultimately, if the job is important to you, you better be careful about what you're putting at risk. That's all. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just wanted to touch on it because I know we never mention it in the groups that often.
Okay. Okay, good. Good question. Thank you. Lee.
Hey, Chloe.
Hi, how are you? How's
Doing
everything going?
doing good. I just wanted to piggyback on Raul's comment there about dating, the workplace thing. One of the things I've noticed over recent years is that um, depending on the company you're with, um, there are policies already in place, especially in the last 3 to 5 years, about dating in the workplace. And there's a term, it starts with the letter P. What do they call it when two people are married and they work in the same place? There's a term for that. But a lot of the policies are in place where if you start to date someone in the workplace, um, you have to tell your supervisor, both of you, because there's a when I was working last year, I was teaching, and they had a policy. I mean, there's a rule book like a billion pages long on ethics and harassment training protocols and things you have to follow. And so one of them is about, you have to report if you're dating a coworker, you have to tell your supervisor because of conflict of interest or something. It's like, especially if they're in the same department. Now, if they're in a different department, it's you have a lot more flexibility.
Interesting.
So I think it's something to be conscious of. I am certainly not going to shoot down anyone, meeting anyone, or calling true love not true
Anywhere, right.
anywhere. But I think the key here is when I have been in a work relationship where this was 20 years ago. I dated a coworker and it didn't work out. And you know what? It was emotionally and psychologically devastating. And that makes going into that job really hard. And it will affect your performance if the relationship goes south. It can affect your performance and it can affect your psychological and emotional status. And it's not professional. I lean on the side of safety and just prefer to meet people in real life outside of work. But everyone's different. But I did want to say, check your company's policy first.
Okay. Yeah, that's good advice.
You
Yeah, see
know,
what the
check,
policies are.
follow the policy, follow the handbook, whatever the rules are. Your company probably has rules about dating coworkers. And that's my thoughts, and I hope that helps. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Lee. Thank you
Thank you.
for adding that. Okay. A deal. And you guys, by the way, can ask questions on other things, like Lee did add to other things as well. Okay. A deal.
Hi, Chloe. First time listener.
Hi,
Um,
welcome. How can I
thank
help
you.
you?
Uh, I just wanted to make a quick comment and maybe just ask a question as well. On in terms of dating in the workplace, I think, like practically speaking, um, it's fine in certain situations to date in the workplace. Because I mean, if we think about it, we spend a lot of our lives at work,
Right.
and if you're dating intentionally um, and seriously, and you're looking for somebody especially for a long-term relationship, I think that there shouldn't, like, I mean, I don't think it's wrong to date in the workplace. But I think the exception is if you have a direct report or some sort of hierarchy in terms of the roles you have, and then you're adding the relationship to that. That's problematic potentially, as well as lateral dating with somebody within a team that you are seeing on a continual basis. That could also be potentially problematic if the relationship doesn't work out. So, but if it's sort of far enough outside the scope of your you know, day-to-day experiences, then it's a judgment call, but I would say it could be okay.
Right.
Personally, I would be open to it.
Okay.
um, I I did want to share a bit of my experiences. Like, one of the things, I'm trying to get myself out there, and I haven't been in a relationship for a while, and
How long's a
um,
while?
oh man, uh, years, I would say,
Okay.
many years. I don't even remember. I think the last, yeah, it's so far back. I mean, I've been on dates and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I've not been like in a long-term relationship. And the reason being is, like, the dates I've been on, um, where there's a discovery phase, and I have turned down a lot of those potential relationships for a number of reasons. Um, like, I have, it depends. Like, I've met some women, for instance, through dating apps, where it just dawned on me that the woman is kind of, what attracted her to me was what I did and where I worked. Like, she knew where I worked, and she sort of expressed that and communicated that to me. And I had a problem with that because I was just like, I'm not my work. I'm not, that's just like, that's the wrong stuff. If you're looking for some sort of um, companionship or partnership on the basis of,
I don't
uh,
understand. I don't understand. What? She pursued you because of where you worked?
well, that's what I interpreted,
This
because
was a
you know
woman you
how,
met on the dating app?
yes, because you know how on the apps it says where you work, or
Right.
if
Oh,
you can,
okay. That's how you,
yeah,
okay, because a lot of her questions were about your job. Okay.
yes,
Got it.
yes.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
then that was a red flag, so you disengaged.
yeah, and
You can
exactly.
tell me your question. You don't have to get like do too much background. And then if I need
Okay,
background, I'll ask you for it.
sure. Okay, okay. So I guess what I want to know is, like, how do you like, I guess, establish your values, but also um, express those values to a potential partner? Like, how do you discover what's important to you, but at the same time be able to exude that with confidence, where it's not a turnoff? It doesn't, like, it actually attracts a potential partner that you're looking for. And how do you do that without being like standoffish? Like, I do have, like, I've discovered, like, I have certain things that I just make me very uncomfortable. And but I don't want to be a prude about it. I don't want to be stiff. I want to be like a bit more flexible and understanding as well, that you know a lot of people have a variety of reasons why um, they may be attracted to you, or they may think you're a suitable partner. And so sometimes you just have to kind of be open to
Yes.
those perspectives. And so I just don't know. I'm battling that. I don't know what's the right way for me to proceed, because I feel like I'm potentially, um, excluding a lot of opportunities or turning down a lot of opportunities because of quick judgments that maybe are unfair. But so I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm a little bit mistrustful. And
Okay,
I
let
just
me ask you, let
yeah.
me ask you, what do you, it sounds to me, I think I know the answer to this question, but I want to hear from you. Do you want your thoughts respected or your feelings cherished? Which do you want more? Everyone wants both, but which do you want more? Because first you started with your thoughts that you want to come across as confident and intelligent and that, but then you were like, but I'm not comfortable with certain things. So that would be more feelings. So which is more important to you?
That's a good question. I really don't, I'm kind of a bit of both. I don't know
Yes,
exactly.
yes. Okay. Okay, well, that's going to help you inform your dating. And if you're not sure, you can try it both ways. And sometimes you'll be more in the feminine with somebody, and then sometimes you'll be more in the masculine. Occasionally, I have clients who just like people, and so they're willing to alternate roles if they're kind of close to the middle, like you're expressing. Like I could go either way. Um, okay, so you're looking for a partner and you're on the apps. Are you meeting people in person? Or what are you doing to meet people in person?
Yes, I have started to do that recently by going like social, like actor, um
Meetups
like
and stuff?
yeah, like meetups, happy
Okay.
hour meetups, things like that.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Okay, good. So did you hear, were you in the room when I told Christian about the 5 flirts?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble unmuting.
It's okay.
Um, I I sort of maybe heard a bit of it. I had to check. Somebody rang my doorbell, so I had to. I was
Okay.
sort of in the beginning, first 10 minutes, distracted. But I
Okay.
heard. I think I heard some of it.
Okay. So you're going to be coming from the thoughts respected angle. We're going to start there. And so I'll describe it for you from the thoughts respected. Okay. So it's very similar to what I told Christian. You're going to be flirting 5 days a week. 4 of those days are going to be in the course of whatever you're doing. So if you're at the grocery store, if you're at the dog park, if you're playing racquetball, whatever it is you're doing, you see somebody that catches your fancy, you're going to give them 5 seconds of eye contact and a smile at the same time. If they respond with eye contact and smile with a significant amount, not just like quick, but if they respond with the eye, if she's giving you that eye contact, if they respond with that eye contact and smile, that's a signal to you that you can approach. Okay. And when you do make your approach, do it with the eye to cherishing her feelings. So, whatever that means, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, but, you know, oh, I noticed you're cold. Do you want my sweater? For example, would be something. Um, I understand that when I say cherish feelings, thoughts respected, things don't necessarily pop into your head. So it does take some finessing about what that means to you. How can you show that you care about how that person feels, right? How can you show that you respect what that person thinks? Um, You show by inquiring about their feelings. You show by when they express their feelings, cherishing those feelings, like taking an action or an inaction based on that information. In terms of if you show, you're going to look at for somebody who respects your thoughts, who echoes what you have to say, who agrees with you on things, who praises you, who is appreciative of your achievements. Okay. So those are the things that you'll be looking for. One day a week, you're going to plant yourself somewhere and go somewhere where you like the girls that go there. If it's a hotel bar, if it's a golf course, learn how to play golf. Um, Sometimes people go like outside workout places, like the coffee shop next to Pure Bar. There's going to be a lot of women coming out of there. Wherever it is, plant yourself 45 minutes to an hour, do the same thing, eye contact and smile, and see who you attract. See who you can start something up with. You will meet people that way, and you may find it more rewarding than meeting people on apps. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay.
I'll
Let
try
us know
that.
how it goes. And then as you're going, we'll be able to understand if the masculine energy is the right fit for you. And whatever like hurdles you're hitting along the way. So one of the things that I do, you guys, is if you do end up becoming like a regular client of mine, when you're having issues, I make myself available to the best of my ability so that, sometimes I have people texting me from the bathroom on a date. What do I say? He said this, blah, 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 he, blah, blah. I've had a guy call me at 9:30 at night because he just got kicked out of the house. So if you're in a crisis, if you're having an issue, you can reach out to me and I'll answer you to the best of my ability in the moment. Because I find that really saves a lot of time and energy and money. And it's just easier to nip problems in the bud. One of the things I never liked about traditional therapy was you having a problem on Friday, my appointment's Tuesday. By that time, I've already burned the house down. It's not helpful. So, yeah, that's a service that I offer. It's not at an extra charge, it's just my regular rates. And so you can reach out to me if you are interested in that because, the devil's in the details. Okay. So thank you for sharing. Okay, now I have this message from Alex. Okay, what do you think? Oh, and he put it in the chat. Okay, what do you think about situationships? I was best friends with a girl for a while, tried directing her towards being my girlfriend. She wasn't interested. She claims to have commitment issues, even though she had no interest in dating any. Okay. As time progressed, we began to come closer. My feelings for her grew stronger. The platonic was slowly right. I started seeing her as my romantic partner instead of a friend. I tried to make it evident that I wanted to stop being friends, but then she would guilt trip me. She wouldn't be able to live without me. She was obsessed with me, but not attracted. Ugh. Okay. Frustrating, as I thought I would be able to change her mind and make her fall in love with me. Biggest mistake I regret. I decided to sacrifice my first ever kiss for her, even though she didn't like me, just to show her that she was the one for me. I was madly in love. Remember, my aunt was telling me to break off the relationship. Okay. She was drunk at a party. Okay. Don't try to make someone fall in love with you. Okay. Okay. Did you have a question, Alex, about this situation? Did this just happen? If you want to talk, I'm okay. Maybe you don't want to talk. Well, if you want to, let me know. Okay. So I'll just weigh on this about the situationship. So there's a few things in this. First of all, situationships, I think, are usually a recipe for pain and disaster. It's very rare that situationships end well. And overall, having intercourse with somebody, for women especially, tends to bond you to people that you may not even be. Okay, 2 days ago was 1 year and we haven't spoken to each other. Okay. When you do have physical contact, you often bond to people that even aren't good for you. Okay, so in this situation, there's a few things going on. So you like this person, she only wanted to be friends, but she was using you for the attention you gave her, and you were feeding her ego and giving her confidence. And you went along with that. You allowed her to guilt you. Okay. So that's a method of communication. These are part of the tools that I teach are about the 3 ways to communicate. So there's 3 ways to communicate, according to Eric Byrne. This is the fundamentals of transactional analysis. And again, if you guys are more interested in stuff, check out the book, sign up for the module. But basically, there's 3 ways to communicate. Either seduce with guilt or tears, which is what Alex is talking about. This person did to him in the chat, or her. Alex is actually an androgynous name. Bully with fear or intimidation, which sometimes people will alternate between the two, right? Or negotiate with love. Okay, what I teach is negotiating with love. What you got from this girl was the seduction with guilt. So you've learned now, don't take the bait. She wasn't willing to give you what you wanted. Now, look, sometimes you can convince people into liking you. Sometimes it works, but you have to kind of know when to cut your losses. And certainly if she didn't like you, kissing her wasn't the move because she had already said no. So you have to respect that. You have to cherish someone's feelings. Women own the word no. If they've said no, don't make a move. Your mistake was really staying through the guilt. Um, and so next time, my advice to you is if you guys don't want, okay, so successful relationships need the 3 C's: chemistry, compatibility, and communication. It sounds like you guys had not chemistry. Well, you had chemistry, she didn't have it. Your communication was okay, you enjoyed talking to each other, but your compatibility wasn't there because you didn't want the same things. Um, so yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend putting in too much time with somebody who has articulated that they don't want to be more than friends. Now, that said, sometimes people do change their mind and sometimes you can wear somebody down, but don't put all your eggs in that basket. And after a certain amount of time, leave it alone. We can't control other people. All we can do is put our best foot forward and then see how they respond or react. Um, so I don't recommend that you do that. And I also think, again, that situationships are troubling because people do get attached from intercourse. And so they usually don't end well. Okay, I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry that you're still in pain about this person. It could take another year, but it hopefully will start to get better soon. And obviously, the best way for it to get better is for you to go out and meet other people and fall in love with somebody else. Somebody who is interested in you as more than a friend. Now, often we set ourselves up in these situations and which we know subconsciously are not winnable, but they replicate a dynamic from our childhood. And that's probably what happened with you, because our psyche will try to solve it by finding someone who can replicate that dynamic and then getting them to show them the love that they didn't get from the original person in childhood, oftentimes a parent. Okay. So be wary of setting yourself up like that. You're setting yourself up for pain when somebody tells you they don't like you and you keep pushing. Okay. I don't care what she said. Don't be seduced by guilt. She did not respect you in that moment. Um, and that's fine. She's trying to get what she wants. She obviously wanted that hit of dopamine she got from you. But it's a very powerful tool to take that away and then see where she's at. A good if that were to happen again, it's good to go no contact in a situation like that for at least 8 weeks and then see how you feel, see where she's at, and see if there's anything that resuscitates from that. Okay. I hope that answered your question. There's a bunch of questions here. No intercourse, just kissing, cuddling. Okay, good. She's completely changed for the worse, but no judgment. Okay. Well, her loss. Okay. So there's a couple questions in the chat that I'm going to try to answer. Cartal, I would like to make new friends. I'm a bit shy and scared and scared to talk to people, especially girls. How to overcome with recommend. Okay, Cartal, I'm not going to answer your question directly because I'm just going, well, this question has already kind of been asked. So listen to this recording. You can get it on wherever you get podcasts or on YouTube. If you didn't hear it all, do the 5 flirts, do it in person, and tell me how it goes. You can come back and let us know. Okay. I'm going to answer this question from Wambui. Okay. I was dating a guy for 3 months last week. This week, he hasn't reached out since Sunday. When I saw him on Sunday, I asked him next time I see him, and he responded Saturday, maybe. In the past, he will contact me either on Monday or Tuesday for a date Saturday. I'm wondering what should I ask? Okay. So, Wambui, where are you? Are you here? Yes. Okay, if you want to talk, you can. But I can answer this. At least I can get started on this without that. Okay. So, first of all, I do need to know, do you have were you in a committed relationship? Or were you just like dating? Had a relationship been articulated? If a relationship is not articulated, you're not in a relationship, okay? Don't assume you're in a relationship just because you're hanging out. This is a very common thing to have happen where a guy, okay, he had asked for exclusive. Okay. Okay, good. So you are kind of in a relationship. Now, part of being in a relationship is negotiating certain issues. One of them is time. When I work with couples, I give them a sheet of items to negotiate. One of them is time, one of them is play, sexual, non-sexual, one of them is space, and one of them is money. Those are the 4 main areas you have to negotiate in a long-term relationship. So this would have been on the level of time. Now, probably you didn't think you needed to do that because he's been pretty regular. This time he is not being regular, okay? Normally, if you're in the feminine energy, I say don't reach out, okay? You wait for him and you give yourself like a certain time. Like maybe you say, I'm going to wait until 5 o'clock Friday or whatever you decide, however you decide long to wait, okay? He was really regular, paid for all the dates. So sometimes men will do this for a number of reasons. First of all, they drop off to see what you're going to do. Are you going to chase him? How desperate are you? Okay? Can they bait you into doing some more of the work? That's part of it. The other thing you're saying is here, 3 months. Okay. All relationships have periods. Now, the first 3 months is the perfect period. And that's when you think, we're on the cover of O magazine. We're going to go all the way. This is the dream guy. This is the dream girl. You're perfect. After 3 months, the next 3 months is the imperfect period. And that's when you start seeing some of the cracks in the other person. Nobody is perfect. Okay. So you have just crested over into the imperfect period. Some people, and I say this from experience, some people only have relationships that last 3 months. Okay. Because they can never get past. In fact, I think I did a reel about that this week, but they can never get past that perfect period. And sometimes clients will come to me and they'll say, well, I'm dating this guy. Do you think it's a red flag? He said he's never had relationships that have lasted past 3 months. It's definitely a yellow flag, because it just shows you, again, people are patterns. So that's that person's pattern. I don't know if that is his pattern. He was okay. But it might be. Okay. Now, if you want to be in the feminine energy, don't reach out. Wait. Typically, he's got 8 weeks because 8 weeks is the amount of time that the heart and head ruminate on average. Okay. If he reaches out to you in the beginning of the 8 weeks, he's crazy about you. If he reaches you out closer to the end of the 8 weeks, he's crazy about you, but he's pissed off about it or conflicted or something else. Okay. So let's wait a little bit and see if he reaches out. You don't have to, you guys have been kind of regularly dating. Oh, you deleted his number. Okay. Well, then you can't reach out anyway. So let's just see if he reaches out. There is a tool that after 8 weeks that I use. It's called the Hi Bye letter. And that is a great tool to use for these kinds of situations. Really any defunct relationship where you're not sure what happened. Now, occasionally in this era, men do get a little jumpy, because so much has changed for men in the last, really, even the last 5 years. So, a lot of the stuff that men have learned from their dads isn't hold true. The Me Too movement has spooked men. So sometimes it's appropriate to reach out and say, "Hey, where'd you go?" Just once. But you know, that's up to you. If you've already deleted his number, let's just wait and see what he does. He said he would reach out. Let's see if he does. Let's see how long it takes him. If you're absolutely dying, you could do that thing where you say, "Hey, what happened to you?" But doesn't sound like you are. Otherwise, let's wait 8 weeks and then check in with me. And if you still haven't heard from him, we'll decide if we want to do a hi bye letter. Does that make sense? Okay. No, I'm not saying, okay, Josh is asking. So you're saying it's not a back and forth thing, like one person is just over here reaching out all the time. No. But in the courting phase, yes. In the courting phase, then the masculine energy reaches out. When you're in the relationship, it's more like 2 to 1. Okay. And that's because romantic relationships don't thrive on equality. They thrive on equity, which honors the differences between men and women. Okay. So that's why it's not tit for tat in the way that you're asking. We like to give the masculine energy person the chance, the opportunity to do good, to do the chase, because that makes the masculine energy feel good. And then that chase, that desire, makes the feminine energy feel good, which then enables her to do good. Masculine energy needs to do good to feel good. Feminine energy needs to feel good to do good. So that's the equity that I'm talking about. That's why it's not like a strict equality. Okay. I hope that cleared it up. Josh, did you want to add anything? Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna be wrapping it up now. Okay, yeah, okay, makes sense. Okay. Yeah, we don't learn this stuff in school. It's funny. It's good that you asked that question. I had recently worked with a client who was dating a guy and everything was going great. And then he kind of freaked out and disappeared. And just recently he came back and he expressed kind of what you're saying. He just like didn't really understand what was happening. He thought he did, but he didn't. And anyways, they're back on track, which is nice. These tools really help. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put my credentials in the chat one more time in case you guys want to reach out to me. I will not be here next week, but I will be here back in 2 weeks. If you need to reach out to me in that time, it's a quick thing. I'll answer it. If it's more than a quick thing, we can set up a session. And if I don't hear from you, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good night.